It's movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom. He's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if it's a spectacle. From San Francisco to Long Island. 'Cause nothing's better than a motion video.
It's Movie Time is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to broadcast shows Fridays at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Read reviews and listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Gary Hammond.
And this is It's Movie Time. And boy, am I glad you're going to do the setup for this movie. Let me just preface this by saying there are a few names of directors whom we immediately recognize. For instance, if I said Steven Spielberg, Akira Kurosawa, if I threw a few out there, you'd know it. But the one for sure that we all know is Francis Ford Coppola. And so I'm just wondering how you make sense of his recent opus, which is called Megalopolis.
Well, when I saw that it was his movie that was out, I hadn't read any reviews, I hadn't seen anything about it, and I thought, oh, I got to go see this. I just got to see this. That's what I got to do, and we talked, and we decided to go. It is the cinematography, the sets, the acting, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's just all fabulous. It is a gangster movie at heart, and it could have been a gangster movie. Others have referred to, I've seen the references briefly, it's a sci-fi. Sci-fi is part of it, but it's really a gangster movie. And the good guy is in opposition to the bad guys, and the bad guys are the people that want the status quo, and he wants to make things different. And it's like Rourke in The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand.
Oh boy, for sure.
Where he is he's a visionary architect, and he's trying to make architecture work for people and work for the masses of people and help the masses of people, and at every turn he's sabotaged, he's backstabbed. It just is terrible in that movie, and a lot of that goes on here.
Oh yeah, I mean the parallels with the contemporary life are extraordinary. But I do like the way you've introduced this. It's a hot mess. It's not getting good reviews, and you and I both enjoyed it, which is something weird about us probably. And also because, and I like the thing that you said, which was, no matter what we're going to see it, because if we want to understand a genius in cinema, that would be Francis Ford Coppola. I'm not going to not see it.
Right.
I have to see it, and we knew going in the buzz wasn't great about it. And we got in and saw it, and I think we even had a very difficult critic with us, didn't we? Terry?
Yes, Terry, my wife,
oh,
yes.
Boy, she's tough, and she liked it too.
Yes, she did.
So I knew we were on the right track when Terry gave it a thumbs up. But, and Coppola sets it in a place called New Rome, which is clearly New York City.
Right.
And this guy's like not only Rourke, but also Robert Moses. And these guys who must have faced all...
Except Robert Moses was a villain, but go ahead.
Okay, right, yeah. Well, and I'm not sure Driver's character isn't part villain, but he has his counterpoint, who is the mayor.
Yes.
And the mayor wants things, as you said, to stay the same.
Yeah.
And so we have...
And even get worse.
Yes, that's right. So we have intrigues going on here, and you mentioned the criminal aspect of it in the sense of gangsters, and you're so right, because that's Francis Ford Coppola's strength. The Godfather, of course, purported to be the greatest American film ever made, and it certainly is one of the very best. I always go for Citizen Kane, but Godfather pushes Citizen Kane every time.
Right.
And in fact, the American Film Institute is threatening to pull Citizen Kane from competition to let Godfather
Sacre
go.
bleu!
I know. Because they just can't get it off. Though the Brits did, they did the Hitchcocks.
Oh, they took them off?
Yeah, for the best movie ever made, Vertigo.
Oh.
Which wouldn't be my best movie ever made. Certainly very good, but they did. I think they did it just to turn up their nose at Orson Welles. But anyway, we're talking the greats, and that you and I agree that if we're going to know anything about cinema, we're going to have to know about Francis Ford Coppola and his current work. Now, look at the guy is old.
Yeah.
He's 85, okay? So people are going to immediately going to try to discount him because of his age.
Not me.
No, nor I, because as you described it, there's brilliance here, even in the cinematography.
Yeah.
The shots, the conceptions, the multiple conceptions. This is rolling around in his head. This is what he's wanted to say for, I think, almost he's been working about a decade about this.
Decades.
Yeah.
Decades. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got all kinds of eccentric characters in here, whom I love. There are too many of them, but they're part of the whole fabric of this. It's like New York City. The whole thing is a mess. Now, what about the Roman connection?
The Roman thing, I looked it up briefly and it didn't track it, but there was an attempted coup,
Right.
and his name is Cicero. Catalina.
Yeah.
And there was a Catalinian rebellion or attempted coup that failed. And
Yes,
I read
right.
about it briefly and it didn't seem, but I was curious about the Romanesque part of it, and so I looked up a little of the history, and it didn't track particularly with this, so I didn't,
Yeah.
didn't make a point of it.
But not the other old timer in this movie would have to be John Voight,
Yeah.
playing the billionaire. who's
Yeah.
kind of, working the strings.
Dustin Hoffman
Oh, Dustin.
in a Michael Cohen role.
Oh my gosh! Hey, but don't blink because you'll miss them. I mean, these guys are just there for.
They're there.
And Voight is just hilarious to me. He's having an affair with Aubrey Plaza's character.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, they get married. What do you mean affair, John? It wasn't illicit. They got married.
That's how confusing the damn film is. You're lucky.
No, John, I was awake during the whole thing.
But for me,
Yes.
to be able to put it together, this is already an extreme act on my part to be able to make sense out of this movie. And yet I know.
She married him for the money, John.
Yeah, that she really did, didn't she?
Yeah.
She was like about 20 and he's about 80.
Well, he's
or
about
something.
30 and he's about 80, but yeah.
Right, is that right?
Well, I think in the movie that's
Yeah.
pictured it.
We even have Larry Fishburne showing up here,
Yeah.
which would be kind of the throwback to Apocalypse Now,
Yeah.
since he starred in that with Coppola as the director,
Mhm.
and he's playing now like his.
He's his chauffeur, his
Yeah.
bodyguard, his fixer, his
occasional, and narrator. Occasional
and
narrator.
yeah, correct.
Which itself isn't even uneven. I think he's not narrating the whole thing. But
No,
just
not
the
much,
point.
but there's some parts that he helps us over, John.
All right, so we do have the visionary part of it, and after all, it's not difficult to figure out. This is probably Coppola talking about himself, being a visionary filmmaker. You know, what are the contemporary references? Because people kind of trying to. Either people approach this as it's obvious, or they don't want to get into a political discussion.
Trump came to mind
Yeah.
repeatedly during the movie,
Yes.
and
In what way?
well, I don't want to make this my politics as far as
No,
that
no,
goes.
but
egomania.
in what character? Is it Driver's character, do you think?
Actually, I didn't take it that way. I took it in the others. I took it in the mayor's case,
Very
who's
good, yes.
who played Gus on Breaking Bad, and Giancarlo Esposito,
Yes.
and Dustin Hoffman was the Michael Cohen character. He was his fixer, as far as that goes, and that's why I thought of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally think of Dustin Hoffman as Michael Cohen, but he seemed to me that role that he was playing for the mayor in this case, and the mayor was willing to do many things that were unseemly.
And Shia LaBeouf, what the heck is he doing in this movie?
He was hiding for a long time, John.
And he has designs on his cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's completely whacked out, but entertaining, yeah.
Yeah.
So, for me, this is about visionaries. This is about people who other people try to discount because they seem to be wacky, and yet the Adam Driver character does have a vision for a better world. And there's some spectacular shots, for instance, when they're at the edge of the building that's being constructed.
Right.
There's some very, very.
Oh yeah. Again, the cinematography is fantastic, and the movie is well, it was uplifting. Actually, it was a gangster movie, but it was uplifting. I think it was about hope. I think that was the theme of it. Expressed a confidence that the scientists can figure things out and save our asses from ourselves with all the problems that we have, and it was I think it was a very positive movie, and it was entertaining, enthralling, visually stimulating, something you can talk about, even if you begin with saying, what was that about?
Well, if you can believe it, we have more to say about this.
We do?
So people need to go to WCBE.org, to our podcast experience, and in this case it'll be Back Talk. And so they want to hear, the phones are already ringing about, who is this brilliant guy that I have as my guest? Yeah, did you hear it? This one? And so they'll have to go to that. Meanwhile, what do you advise about this movie?
I encourage people to go see it on the big screen. It doesn't need an IMAX. I don't know whether it's on the IMAX, but I encourage people to go see it. I thought it was great. It was very good, good acting. The story is good. It's a noir gangster movie with science fiction additions.
And you are probably the first one to identify the gangster part of this. I don't know whether people just expect it because it's Coppola or not, but I think you're absolutely right. This is strong. There are so many people outside of Driver's character who are corrupt.
He's Rourke and everybody else is a gangster.
And as in Ayn Rand, the positivist comes out.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Yeah.
Listen.
It's movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From